Welcome to Season 3 of Malevolent Autopsy. I'm your host, Queen. I use she, her pronouns, and I am so excited to be here with you all. Now, let me warn you, the show contains major spoilers for everything in Malevolent as of the day this episode is published, so if you're not caught up, I'm not liable. Before we get started tonight, I'd like to ask my lovely co-host, back from the void, what part of Arthur's body are you betting on getting injured this week?
Howdy, hello! Ball Control is back in the studio. I missed you, Queen, and I missed you, chat.
Oh, I missed you too. Welcome back.
I'm very happy to be back. And this week, I'm going to be optimistic. I don't think Arthur is getting any injuries this week. What could possibly go wrong? It's just the end of the part. Like, I'm sure everything's going to be totally fine.
Yeah, I love it. Definitely when people say what could possibly go wrong, nothing ever goes wrong after that. So I'm sure it'll be fine.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Would you like to recap our chapter for the public, please?
I would be happy to. In this week's chapter, Arthur asks the question, why me? Loric's wise words lead us to the answer that we already knew was coming. Why not, Arthur? Arthur is given a moment alone for the first time ever in the podcast, really? I mean, technically Coda, I know, but that doesn't really count because he was kind of dealing with a lot. It wasn't a moment of peace alone. And in this moment, Arthur gives himself the pep talk that we all knew he needed. A reminder that he is the reddest hell, the arch-murderer in flight, the master of his fate, the captain of his soul. He decides to let Lilith out of timeout. Her sass quickly earns her going right back into it. New power dynamics established, Arthur and Lilith hash things out and agree they are neither friends nor enemies, and it is to both of their advantage to work together and stop fucking with each other. But before they set out, they have a trade to make. The trader, unfortunately, has a bone to pick with Arthur from their last trade. But with some quick thinking and a bit of shape-shifting trickery on Lilith's part, they even the playing field. The trader will trade 2 items for 2 items. The lighter and... what else?
Such a fun fucking vote. Such a, like, old... reliable vote, it almost feels like.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it feels almost nostalgic in a way, or it feels like a really classic vote, even though I don't know that there's necessarily a classic type of vote in Malevolent. This, maybe it just feels like a video game vote, or, you know, like a choose your own adventure type vote that's more like in the genre of Malevolent.
Yeah, when I say classic, I guess I mean traditional, because really that's kind of the obvious choice for what you'd let listeners decide on.
Right.
Unlike, I don't know...
questions of identity, existential questions, you know, like... compassion versus self-resilience. Yeah, those kind of questions.
Right. Yes. And I also think... I like the votes that have 5 options or sometimes more, but it does make things a little bit less... I guess it really becomes apparent how hard it is to unionize and how difficult it is. Sorry, I didn't mean unionize, but you know what? I think that's funny.
I know what you meant.
I meant like unify is what the word I think I wanted.
Yeah. Well, we run into that problem of the vote getting split in so many different directions. I mean, this is why we can't have a 3-party system, right? Sorry.
Malevolent Autopsy, the political discourse pipeline. So, Vol, what was your carrot this week?
My carrot, this was another one of those episodes where there were just so many good lines. Like, you would think that with an episode this long, because this was like a 17-minute episode, that there would only be like, I don't know, like 1 or 2 really banger lines, but there was so many little conversations and scenes that happened in this one episode, and so there were so many good lines. And if I had to pick anything other than Arthur's pep talk, because I think we can agree that that is a universal carrot, we are sharing that carrot, I would actually have to go with towards the end, Lilith's really dry delivery of does force usually work with trading, and then he's leaving. I don't know, her delivery of those lines were so funny.
Yes, I loved those. Those are so good.
I almost expected the whimsical tune to start playing.
Yeah, I also almost expected the whimsical tune because it just feels like Arthur and Lilith have this quick-witted banter that I think Arthur and John did not get to have for long enough in
Sure.
the very beginning of the podcast because we had to spend so much more time being introduced to it. But now we all get it. We know this dynamic. We know how it works. We know that Lilith sees through Arthur's eyes and has limited abilities outside of that, you know, barring some exceptions.
Right.
And I think it's a really fun opportunity to have a fresh dynamic and see what other ways it can be explored, and it can be adding to the narrative and the characterization in a completely new way. And
Yeah.
I love how fast and bantery they are. It's so satisfying to listen to.
It's nice that our like sad wet cat of a British man is a little bit less sad and wet. He's still very British, but he's less of a sad wet cat because he knows how this goes, like you're saying, and I feel like he's less easily exploited or scared at this point. He's like, fucking come at me, bro. Like, I dare you.
Yeah, Luna pointed out Arthur was scared / manipulated with John too, whereas with Lilith, he's just over it.
He's so over it. And now that he has timeout powers, yes.
Oh, timeout powers, beloved. I think we're gonna really, I'm so, like, it's so bittersweet that Malevolent has so few chapters left comparatively, because the fun you could have with timeout is so vast. Like, I dare you guys to go rewrite Malevolent where Arthur can put John in timeout and see how fucking funny it gets so fast.
I feel like it would either get really funny or the divorces would escalate. Mega divorces.
John really has a problem with being ignored. Like,
right.
More than I think even Lilith does. Like, yes, she gets impatient and frustrated and everything like John does, but John, I think, had so much still building within him about humanity and everything. I'm thinking specifically of season 4, where he gets so upset over Arthur not being able to talk to him because of Oscar's presence that he just like is genuinely hurt by it when it does happen. And Lilith just gets angry because it's annoying. It's a very different vibe, and I really like it.
That brings up something interesting that I think you and I had both noticed the first time we listened to this episode, was that the way that Lilith talks about it when Arthur asks if it like is painful and she says no, some people might consider it peaceful. And I think both you and I were like, oh, I wonder if it reminds her of being bound after the failed ritual with Edward William Allen and whatnot, and like being bound in that house for 200 years or whatever.
Yeah, I remember we both kind of turned to each other and were like, I wonder if it makes her remember the solitude that she had faced, and whether she really, I'm sure she hated it, but it's kind of reminds me of this old fable that I won't go into, but basically you don't tell people when you don't want to be put back in a situation like that. Like, she's not going to admit that she doesn't like it, because that gives Arthur leverage to punish her. And I think she's trying to get around the idea that it may be difficult or uncomfortable for her. I also wonder if it's similar to what John experienced while Arthur was in a coma.
Oh yeah, totally.
What was your stick?
Well, I had trouble picking a stick, and so I went the direction of, you know, if sticks are supposed to be things that we're thinking will come up further down the line, like things to keep in mind, things that made me go, what? What the fuck did Lorik mean about the manager feeling loss for a love he didn't know he had?
I think there are several listeners out there who went, I know what that means. It's the manager who fell in love with me in my fan fiction and didn't realize it was going to hurt him so bad.
Yes. Well,
clearly that's the answer.
The more I thought about it, the more I wondered, yeah, if he felt, some people in the chat are kind of echoing or talking around kind of where my brain is at now, that the manager might have realized that he felt a loss for a lack of the experience of humanity. Like he can never feel that the way that humans do, and I think that could give him a feeling of something lost, something he never could have had. You know what I mean?
I think so. I'm getting the vibe of when you have an otherworldly being, something or someone who is not human, and their inherited protectiveness over humanity because they will never be like, they can never experience what we do. And that inability to connect in the way that humans do, and seeing that and longing for that. But the next best thing you can do is preserve that for them rather than try and be them. And maybe that's something I think you could cling to. But I mean, is that kind of what you were getting at?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that it makes me think of, and, walk with me here. I know that a lot of people have a lot of religious trauma from growing up religious, but as someone who grew up as an atheist and never had a personal relationship with religion, there have been times in my life where I have felt a sense of loss because I never had that sort of supernatural connection to something bigger than myself. And people who have relationships with faith, as adults when they can consciously choose to do so, I think that there's something really magical and about that culture of faith and believing in something greater than yourself. But I don't have that in me, and I'll never know what that is like. You know what I mean?
I definitely know what that's like because I've briefly talked about an autopsy before. I was raised Christian,
Mm-hmm.
went to Christian school for most of my life, especially formative years. I just didn't know any different. Believed, and that was all. I no longer consider myself Christian, but it's kind of a part of yourself that you can't fully, like, you don't get to just not have that knowledge of what that life is
Right.
like and what believing
Yes.
feels like. But as I've
Yes.
gotten older and I've had distance between the education that I was receiving that had religion entwined with it, well, after I graduated high school, that was no longer something that was just put on me. And over time, because I wasn't practicing it on my own and because my views changed and I changed as a person, I wouldn't consider myself religious anymore. And I do
Mm-hmm.
feel a sense of loss and mourning and
Right.
grief that I can't get that back. I do understand that distance.
Right. You're like sort of like hands pressed against the glass, looking out the window, like, oh,
Yeah.
I wonder what
What's
that's
it like in
like.
there? Yeah. And Val and I are specifically and exclusively speaking about people who have a positive relationship with their faith that they are practicing right now. Obviously, there's a lot of people who experience trauma and are very distant from religion now for very
Yes,
good
that's
reasons, and
that's why I said
that's a whole
walk with
different
me,
thing.
like hang in there. I know this is not a universal experience, but
Yeah.
but that was the thing that I sort of related it to. Yeah. So I don't know. That my stick is that because I want so badly to know what Lorik was talking about, but I wonder when or if we're gonna get to know.
I think of all the things Lorik listed, that was the thing that threw me the most. I was just like,
Yeah.
where did that come from? I did
Right.
not expect to get any more information on the manager's motivations. I really
Right.
didn't.
Also, like, Lorik knows who the manager is. Like, okay, all right. Who else do you know, Lorik? Like,
Lorik knows all, sees all. Lorik is the manager. Red strength board, get it up there.
Lorik is the manager's secretary. There we go.
Oh my
That's
God.
that's where it's at.
Oh my God.
All right. What was your carrot this week, Queen?
Arthur getting a break from having a voice in his head in a peaceful moment in the podcast for the first time was, I described it at the time as exhaling when I didn't know I was holding my breath for so long. Because ever since season 1, episode 1, I didn't realize it, but there was this crawling, creeping, slow moving choking that was being done to the narrative in my brain about how Arthur truly cannot ever get a second alone. And when is he supposed to process anything or deal with anything on his own? I don't care how much you love somebody. Everybody needs, at minimum, privacy. And I'm
Yes.
not talking like you need to be, isolated for a week or whatever. I'm just saying, like, if human beings need privacy, that's like one of the things that is
Yeah.
pretty high up on our hierarchy of needs. And
Yeah.
Arthur not getting that, I did not realize how anxious and overwhelmed that was making me feel every time I listened to an episode. Like, all of the things he's had to go through, and he hasn't been able to truly be alone with any of them, I think for me especially was very significant. I started crying when I first realized he was alone and he was talking to himself, and I like didn't stop until the episode was over because I mean, as much fun as I was like listening and I was enjoying it, but like I was very weepy because it was just like I I just feel a lot of sympathy for the idea that he has not been able to have anything that's just his in so long,
Yeah.
and going through this massive amount of trauma and all of these horrible things and remaining strong and having all these poignant moments and forming relationships, all of that has happened to him without a fucking minute.
Yeah.
Not even a second between where he can just be with himself. He's always dealing with somebody else's shit.
I mean, honestly, it's amazing that he hasn't lost his shit more often, considering
Yeah.
that he hasn't had a moment of privacy or a moment to sort of collect himself. I think last week you guys were talking about the true horror of having someone else in your head, especially someone that you don't get along with, and also talking about that moment from season 1 where Arthur just like plunks down and he's like, I just need a fucking second.
I'm gonna sit on this fucking porch. I loved that. It was one of my favorite moments in the series.
Yeah, and think about the fact that that was season 1, and Arthur has barely had a break since then, and certainly not one where he could be like, fuck you, I'm sitting down and I'm not moving, I'm taking a moment.
Yeah, he has really been through it. And
Yeah.
my carrot for this episode was Arthur finally getting a fucking second and
Yeah.
talking to us specifically, because I really
Yeah.
feel like that was intentionally getting to talk to us. And I know I'm giving like 3 baby carrots here, but he made a Jesus resurrection joke that I thought was
Right.
fucking great,
Yes,
and I hope
very funny.
everybody heard it.
The way he giggled to himself, I was just, my crops are watered, my skin is clear. Man, there were some good Arthur laughs in this episode, and God bless.
Yes, I loved it. I think too that like it really, that whole moment primed me for being emotional because why not me was a huge
Yeah.
deal, and his response to that and everything. I originally thought I couldn't relate to that concept because I've heard that before from protagonists in other media, because I just don't, it never really struck a particularly deep chord with me. But I think I have grown as a person long enough to reframe that phrase for
Yeah.
myself. And I think a lot of that comes from both a positive and negative place. Like
Mhm.
Arthur's perspective and experience with Why Not Me is he's the horror protagonist, and like the whole point is that humanity and all of that. On my end of things, it was very much like I never thought I could do a podcast,
Right.
but like why not me?
Right,
Like,
exactly.
why
Yeah.
couldn't I do it? So I
Right,
thought that was
right.
really cool.
Yeah, yeah, I think that that kind of reframing, not the why me, what have I done to deserve this, but why not you? Why couldn't you be the one to do it? Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
that is, it's kind of empowering, really.
Yeah, it's both why not you in the sense of what makes you better, like what
Yeah.
makes you not deserve, like I guess you could go about life saying I don't deserve this, why me? But
Mm-hmm.
this was kind of more of a why not you, because of all of the good that's going to come out of this, and like you can do the good thing. So I don't know, I thought that was great. And of course, as usual, the themes be theming.
The themes be theming. What was your stick this week?
My stick is really simple. Lilith's hair trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Lilith really can suddenly decide she's upset
Oh,
and
just real quick.
fly off 0 to 60. They were having a normal ass conversation at a normal ass volume, and she just flew up into the stratosphere with her tone so fast. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's gonna, I don't know, I feel like that's gonna get you in trouble later. You gotta learn how to temper that.
I also like that as Lilith and Arthur were sort of like hashing things out, Lilith came to a point where she realized that she was projecting a little bit on Arthur, and
Yes.
I'm hoping that that realization is going to continue to foster, I'm not going to say friendly relations, but at least not at each other's throats and not shutting each other down at every turn, you know?
It's funny. I actually thought it was pretty interesting the way she said, I guess I'm projecting, because when an entity inside Arthur's head has said the word projecting, it's usually been the literal sense of projecting outside
Right.
of his body. And I was like,
Right.
okay, I have to reorient my thinking of that word. Yeah. And
Yeah.
also, like, the other like mini stick I had was just the fact that she needs a body, and I don't like any of that. I don't like any of this plan that
Yeah.
she's got going. This makes me so nervous.
Yeah, I remember when we first heard the episode, you and I were both like, body fetch quest, let's go. But also, yeah, that's a whole nother wrinkle in the things we have to do before the end. Like, are you serious, Lilith? Like, we already have a lot of stuff on the grocery list. I'm not sure we're gonna be able to fit a new body in there.
I'm just glad that Arthur immediately got clothes, because I'm not about the naked Arthur truth or life. Shall we go on to the poll?
Yeah, let's talk about the poll.
I just want to say really quick before we jump into all of this, we haven't mentioned Booth John in a while.
Hmm.
And the reason is partially because I think the John construct is permanently broken. It's not that I don't think he's
R.I.P.
going to be back, but I do think it's transcended what it once was. Now it's very much serving the narrative of whoever is asking the question. So we had Lilith give us our options this time, for example. She just literally just read out the list of options to make it very clear that this is what we were voting on before the poll actually dropped.
And last week we had Lorik do the
Yes.
little like end cap and beginning cap for this week's.
Yes. So the other thing I want to point out is that John is no longer in our narrative. I don't know that we're going to get him back as his voice. I don't know if it's him, but his
What?
voice back as our patron helper.
Oh, you mean Booth John? I thought you meant
Yes.
John John. Oh my
No,
god. I
no.
was like, you
Booth
think
John.
he's gone until the end of
No.
Malevolent?
No.
Oh my god.
I mean, hot takes, right? If I really
Right.
believed that, I would have to prepare you all to hear it. No, I think John will come back. I don't know for how long, but I think he'll be back.
I think Booth John is at the timeshare in Spain.
Yes, I'd
Hmm.
love to imagine this completely like shadowy black figure in like a kind of a John robe, but
Mm.
all black. And I
Hmm.
want to imagine him with sunglasses on for no reason, sipping like a really frosty margarita.
Yes. Yes. There's like either the cloak is Hawaiian print or he's wearing a Hawaiian print shirt underneath it.
Yes, the Hawaiian print shirt. I'm all about it. I'm all
Yes.
about it. Okay. So, this week's poll was a doozy with 5 options. We got glass jar of liquid, a map, an oil lamp, a stone disc, and an egg. And the poll ended pretty quick. We had 445 votes cast. The winner of that vote was, as you already know, public listener, an oil lamp. Because when we are recording this, the vote has already closed. It closed yesterday morning. It is Saturday night as we are recording.
Yeah, it was a timed close. I don't know if I don't recall if Harlan had it timed from the very beginning to close at a certain time or
No, I think he set the time closure after
okay.
the poll was actually posted, because I don't
Right.
remember seeing a timer on it when it
Right.
first dropped. But first of all, I think that's a great feature. Patreon has now allowed you to like time when your poll is closed, because that was the biggest issue we faced as archivists, going back and looking at previous polls, people
Right.
have to click on them in order to see how it shook out, and that really skews the votes.
Yes. Yes.
So a lot of the polls on Patreon now, if you go through them, are no longer accurate to the numbers. But anyway, that
It's all
aside,
been documented on the wiki though.
yes, Wiki is very good at keeping up with it and making sure it's accurate now. So all of that aside, I will say oil lamp won, but you'll never guess what was the very close second. It was an egg.
Egg.
Egg was the fucking second place winner, followed immediately by Stone Disc. I'm going to read out these percentages. Glass jar of liquid, 5%, a map, 4%, an oil lamp, 39%, a stone disc, 14%, and an egg at 37%. So, let's talk about this fucking vote, shall we?
Let's do. What did you vote for, Queen? What was your gut reaction, and how did you vote?
How did it shake out? Okay, well, for me, I immediately voted glass jar of liquid. My runner-up was stone disc. By the end of the poll, I was oil lamp.
Yeah.
The journey of all three of those choices is complex and multi-layered, okay?
Yes.
Glass jar of liquid will always have my heart. I earnestly, genuinely wish it had won. I would have stuck by it had this vote not been a 5-way split. I think when you have votes that are more than 2 options, it immediately becomes, okay, you have your heart choice, and then when you know your heart is not going to win,
Strategic.
you have to go to the backup.
Yeah, you got to vote strategically, and you know, we do have about 50 people actively looking at slow poll or at poll chat on the Invictus Discord server, I would say, who can be sort of moved, but only maybe half of those people are willing to like flip strategically every time. So it can be tricky, even, and you know, that's not even counting all of the non-Discord patrons that we have to contend with.
Man, I wish we could figure out how to collect data on how many of us are Discord voters and how many of them are just patron voters.
Yeah.
I would just love more data on voters anyway.
I know.
Point is,
just want more data.
I just want more data. Point is, I was originally glass jar of liquid. My reasons, just to give a brief overview, were the last time Arthur had an angry voice in his head and we got the opportunity to have a jar of liquid, it was selenine, and it would have given Arthur control of his hand back from John. At the time, that was a good thing because they were beefing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This was way back when they were in the Dreamlands. So season 2. I don't think that this glass jar of liquid was that. I don't think it would have done anything like that. But I do think historically, we didn't drink it back then, and we could have. And it would have been a good move to do that. Now, I don't regret how it shook out. I think it's great that John still had the hand and blah, blah, blah. But the point is, could have done it, would have been cool.
It's funny that you say that because I did see that someone brought up, or someone might have even mentioned it in the voice subs actually, but someone mentioned that the last time they were trying to decide what to trade with the trader, the glass jar of liquid was there and also the lamp was there. And Arthur said, mysterious vial of liquid? No, that's a hard pass from me, or like, that's a definite no. But a lamp, we'll put that in the maybe pile. So.
Oh, that's interesting. I do like that. But for reasons I was voting glass jar, I thought that was neat. I also thought the way it was described was fascinating. It was not only a violet liquid, which is the exact word that has been used to describe weave water, which was the doll maker's kind of preservative. We're assuming that was the color of the liquid that they put the head of the butcher in.
Yes.
It was also, I believe, a word that was used to describe scratch in one of the features or characteristics of scratch. I think the last thing I will say is that it was a thick liquid. A thickwid, if you will.
Oh, don't. I won't, actually. Thank you.
To me, I felt was meaning that maybe it could have more applications than just being a preservative or being consumed. Maybe it could be applied to something, used
Interesting.
as an agent, perhaps given, like, put on a wound or a surface of some kind. Like, I don't know. Truly, I just thought glass jar liquid was the most interesting thing on the table, kind of, that we could
Yes.
theoretically benefit from. I had other reasons for why other objects were not as fascinating, but
Yes.
to just keep it short and brief, my follow-up was stone disc, purely because it's not any of the other options. It's just, I didn't like the other options.
I feel like in a funny way, both, well, I guess each of the options offers some sort of like mystery and curiosity, but I think that the mundanity of like a stone disc that doesn't have any obvious markings on it, at least not as described at this juncture, makes you wonder, like, what the fuck is it? What is it?
And then, of course, I landed on oil lamp because, and this will be the majority of what I say on this podcast going forward for this episode, I just didn't want egg to win.
Yeah, so for the public, I think a lot of us voters, right after we listened to the episode, were like, oh my god, egg, we gotta go egg. But like, as a bit, like, everyone was kind of joking about it. And then when the poll results dropped, I remember I looked at the poll first thing in the morning and egg was at like 50%. And I was like, oh no, guys, we can't seriously have egg that far in the lead. You can't be serious.
You had so much more faith than I did, because I knew that was going to happen. I knew it because this vote doesn't feel imperative.
Right.
This doesn't have an emotionally resonant thing that is attached to each object. This isn't like the memory vote. This isn't
right.
This isn't significant in terms of like deep personal connection. No one's going to submit a message saying that they secretly have a deep, dark history with a glass jar of liquid.
Right.
Like, that's
Luna earlier in the chat during Autopsy said that this was a vote that didn't feel like, oh god, we're going to blow Arthur up if we choose the wrong thing.
Right.
And yeah, that was very much the vibe of the vote.
And that's why people were willing to vote egg, because it didn't seem to matter.
But also, a lot of us initially thought that it was the Crystallizer of Dreams. Harlan immediately corrected us and said that Lilith said she didn't recognize it, and she has seen the Crystallizer of Dreams, so she would have recognized it if it was that.
Yes.
But I think that some people did have some very serious arguments for egg and for the things that it could represent, for the utilities that it could provide. So like, it wasn't all joke votes, but it was
mostly joke votes. But yes, there were some serious
arguments. A good
arguments.
faction of people who just thought egg funny, I pick egg.
I think it's very important to remember that these kind of votes, they may not have any context. They may not have ever seen that Harlan said it wasn't the Crystallizer of Dreams, and a lot of people may be voting thinking it is. So like, you have to account for all perspectives here, in the fact that there's a lot of people who are like, they get this email in their inbox, it's a funny option to vote for the egg, they kind of laugh to themselves, they click it and they move on, which is again insane to me. Absolutely pathological behavior to me, but I respect it. So but knowing the way I knew that egg was totally gonna win if we didn't do something about it, because of all of the memes and the jokes that were gonna come out of it, I knew that it had to be taken seriously as like, we can't approach the people that we don't have access to, and they're probably going to vote for it. So we need everybody we can talk to not vote for it if we don't want it to win.
Well, first, the egg faction was so strong, and I think Harlan must have seen that some of it was kind of like memey and silly. And he literally made a poll in the slow poll channel on the Discord server to ask whether egg voters were voting for the bit or if they genuinely wanted to vote for egg. And he was like, this doesn't like change my opinion or what I'm gonna do. I'm just curious. And I thought that was very funny.
truly is nothing wrong. I rag on it. There is nothing wrong with voting as a joke or as a
No,
bit. There
no.
really isn't. I personally am the type A kind of person who will never be able to get behind that for my own personal vote. I think it's also difficult because poll chat specifically feels like it maintains a level of actual genuine debate most of the time. And so
Yes.
to have like a flood of memes about a vote was very unusual for
Right.
the volume of it. Not that it
Yes.
never happens, but just the volume of the joke kind of made me go, okay, now I'm battening down the hatches, because not only do I not want Egg to win, I also am tired of seeing it take over genuine debate, and I
Yes.
am here to argue.
Yeah. Oro in the chat says, I can vote as a joke only if I know that's the losing option. Same. Like, sometimes I will vote for the bit if there's, like, no chance of it impacting the ultimate outcome, really. I have to admit that my first interaction in poll chat this week was saying, I know that Harlan said it's not the crystallizer of dreams, but that can't stop me because I can't read and I'm voting egg.
I will never understand you.
But, I did not want egg to win shortly thereafter. So I initially voted for egg, and I was planning on doing a bit in poll chat where I would campaign for egg, but secretly I was voting for something else. I was going to pull a queen. But because egg was winning so much, I was like, oh, no, 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 no. I can't campaign for egg in good faith. I can't do that. So,
You campaigning would genuinely, I think, have made Egg win, because you are so rare to see in poll chat doing anything that people would have been so excited to see you active
oh
and
my
would have just
God.
jumped on.
I know, my words have power. I have to be careful.
Everybody has to be careful, and I think we learned. I know at least one person learned that this week. There was regret expressed in poll chat for people who tried to campaign for the lamp and then it actually won, and they were like, I don't know if I made the right call.
No,
But I mean,
that's typical. That's typical vote regret. Once your option
yeah.
is winning after you've campaigned for it, you start to second guess yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
But ultimately, I did land on Lamp. There were some really good arguments about that it was thematically appropriate, about like carrying the fire, and also that it was the one object that we could interact with our one other object. And so some of those ideas really inspired me and made me feel like, oh, okay, yeah, I feel like Lamp is one of the better choices.
Agreed. I think it's not the worst. I'm kind of okay. Let's see what happens. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what Harlan does.
Yes.
I thought there were so much more interesting options on that list, but I think it will turn out beautifully. I'm excited to see how he surprises me.
Yes, me too.
With all of that being said, let's get into our voice submissions with the birthday goat.
The birthday goat. Happy birthday, Gogoat.
Happy birthday, Gogoat.
Hello, autopsies. Gogoat here, any pronouns. I was hoping the vote this week would tell us about the my favourite thing, but looks like Lilith is keeping that wrapped up tight. This was a really good chapter. Some great Arthur on Arthur pep talk, Arthur laughing again, even if it feels a little too quiet without John joining in, the traitor getting his revenge, and Lilith being very good at advertising their lot of a total of 2 items. Who knew Eldritch entities were so good at bartering? Arthur hyping himself up was a wonderful little moment. Arthur always has someone with him. The only other time he's been alone was in Coda, and he couldn't very well give himself a pep talk with the whole bleeding out his neck thing. This moment did also feel like Arthur was addressing us directly. This is the part where we pull it all off. We have a hand in this too. But maybe it was also Arthur just being used to plural pronouns. I don't know, I like to think he was addressing us a little bit, even if not intentionally. The more we learn about Lilith, the more I'm convinced there wasn't a right choice in which hand to bite. Lorik said, she is not a friend, but she does not need to be your enemy. Biting Arthur's hand instead was not a worthy kindness. It didn't mean much to her. But biting Lilith's hands would not have been a worthy threat. She does not consider this her body, and she, at least for now, is not going to easily waver to our kindness or our cruelty.
Very lovely submission. Thank you. I know we have another part later on in the episode, but that was beautiful.
Yeah, I love hearing all the things that stood out to other people, and I have to say, you mentioned that Lilith is apparently good at bartering, and I thought her little sleight of hand trick was so fucking cool. And also, apparently, I mean, Lilith has already said that she can make Arthur look like anybody they want to, but it still was kind of shocking to realize that she literally can do that, or at least with the hand that she controls.
I think it was very good, a very smart move. I will also say the funniest fucking thing was people who did not immediately get it, which is fine, and I don't judge you at all. There's a lot of things in Malevolent that take me a hot second to get, that I misinterpret on the first listen or whatever. People who did not get it, Harlan was around for the live job and watches everybody react and was jumping in like, guys, it wasn't really the necklace. Guys,
Right.
that was Lilith.
That was
You can
Lilith.
do this.
Guys.
And I thought it was the funniest thing. So if you did not, listener in the public, if you did not fully understand it, yes, that was Lilith pulling a trick. The necklace does not actually change the appearance of the wearer.
Yes.
Hello, this is Spade. I love this part so much. Arthur's why me pains me. I love Lorik's answer and I find a lot of his dialogue interesting. Lorik's answer being a direct callback to when Cain asks Arthur, "What makes you so different?" And Arthur's response being, "I suppose I'm special because I am humanity. The best and worst it has to offer. My stubbornness, my compassion, my mistakes." And Lorik's answer being, "You are humanity. The death and missteps, the love and hate, the failures and successes. You carry with you the capacity for all of what life has to offer. The very fact that you are simply one of many imperfect beings makes you a perfectly suitable choice." I love parallels. I love full circles. And this is a major one, especially now that we're in the Dreamlands of all places. Aside from the answer itself, I want to focus on this other stuff Lorik says, primarily about when he says the manager wants to aid Arthur because he felt loss. Loss for love he didn't know he had. I want to connect that back to a line of dialogue Lorik said in the previous chapter, how these beings can't understand hope because they've never been faced with a type of loss or mortality. But the manager, according to what Lorik has just said, has. Maybe that's what makes the manager different from Cain. He feels hope. He felt loss. I've always found the manager to be very interesting, so I'm always excited to see more manager information. One last thing. I really liked seeing Arthur and Lilith work together. I thought him catching on to her plan was really fun. That's all. Bye-bye, eels.
Thank you, Spade. I love your voice messages. You're such a pal. I don't know. And you also you always sound like your voice is physically moved by the story so much that your passion is like making your voice wiggle a little bit. And I really like it. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, Spade bringing up that whole what was Lorik talking about with the manager? I'm rattling the bars in my cage. I am rattling them.
Lorik needs to cough up more answers, damn it.
But he's gone. He's already gone. He's already ditched us.
Vol, I think you have an email to read.
I do. All right, here is an email that we got from you-know-who. Hi, Autopsy, Rosesofenvy, she, her, and can I just say what a breath of fresh air this chapter was? It was honestly a little difficult for me to listen to the past two because of how vitriolic Lilith was. It was definitely getting to me as much as it was Arthur, but him putting her in timeout was just icing on the cake in this chapter. The callback to part 20 was lovely. We got both Noel's theme and some familiar music, and most importantly, Arthur got his spark back, along with the lighter. They don't have to be friends, but they need to work together is honestly so fitting. Now, for the items, I must admit each of them has their allure, but my immediate first instinct was to vote for the lantern. This was another one I voted for and didn't check the polls, if I'm being honest. Thinking of the times we've seen lanterns in Malevolent, they've always been something of a beacon, and I'm hoping it will help us find what we need to find in the Dreamlands, but if nothing else, it'll be a wider source of light than just the ladder.
Thank you, Rose and Vol. I loved your Rose impression. It's so good.
Well, thank you. I wasn't sure if I dropped the accent in the middle there or if I just
No.
stopped hearing it because I'm Texan and I just put
Yeah,
on my
you just
Texas
stopped hearing it.
accent.
You did really good the whole way through, I think. Yeah, by the way, if you didn't catch it, we did get Noel's theme.
Mm.
Just saying, we got Noel's theme. I didn't bring it up first. Everyone else did.
He's still there. He's still in the narrative.
He's
But
still in the narrative.
but Rose mentioning that the lantern or the lamp could be a wider source of light than just the lighter is something that I've heard echoed by a few other people. And considering that the lighter still has the sound cue when it is mentioned or when it's brought out that it did in the Dark World, I'm curious if there would be some way to like amplify the power of the lighter with the lantern.
So Noel's theme, if you wanted to catch it again, appears at 2 minutes and 51 seconds right after Lorik says, "Life, give me life until the end."
Hello, I'm Myth, he, him, and first I want to say that while I do think, yes, egg is very funny, objectively, we shouldn't pick it because unless we're planning on egging Kane's house, which I don't know even know if he has one, he gives homeless but proud of it energy, honestly. I think we should either choose the disc or like the map because they seem useful. Or maybe the oil lamp, who knows? Maybe it's our own old one. Or no, it's not. Never mind. What happened to the fucking point me direction, motherfucker? Maybe it's that. Who knows? Anyway, yeah, the actual episode, it's very lovely with how Arthur gets to have his little moment, understand that it's not because he's special, which I think it's very funny that the reason he got picked, it's not because he's special, it's because he's just a fucking dude. That's it. And I think it's very funny that that's the grand reasoning. It's just he's just a dude who accidentally let his daughter die. But I think the whole part with him just putting Lilith in timeout is too fucking funny, objectively, and also them scamming the traders just also, hi trader, missed you. That's about it. It's yeah.
Thank you, Myth, for your submission. Really appreciate it.
Myth's messages make me laugh so much sometimes. Talking about egging Kane's house and then wondering if he even has a house. But I do want to say that I think a lot of us in the fandom have always talked about how we want to find out that Arthur isn't special. Like that would be more important or more aligned with how we see him than if there was something special about him.
Gogoat here again, any pronouns? Talking about the vote this time. Before I do that though, side note, the lighter sound effects from the Dark World is still there? I have no idea what that's supposed to mean, but I have been stewing on that. I really want to know what the whole deal is with the lighter. I'm so curious. Okay, for the vote. My gut instinct says the lamp because we had a lamp last time and that helped. The best case scenario is we don't let Arthur end up in any more caves or pits, but he is a bit of a hole magnet. Also, fire metaphors are always a win in Malevolent, guiding light and such. And if it is like the lamp in Season 2, then we could absolutely use that to guide us to John, the plateau, other people that we need, maybe Noel, if I dare to dream, maybe the obelisk. That's my note done. Bye-bye, autopsies.
Thank you, Gogoat. Appreciate you. And yeah, fingers crossed.
Again, Charlie mentioned Queen didn't have to bring him up.
I love that the longer I go on, the more people are realizing how great he is and bringing him up for me.
Yes. So our next submission is in the list here.
I saw it earlier.
Yeah. It's a bit of a visual one.
So this next submission is going to require some audio description for the public listeners who are unable to see it. I just have to say, before we get into this one, that this is kind of what I meant. This is a really good example of what was basically happening in Pull Chat. Milk has submitted a PDF file to Autopsy this week that is completely blank, and the very center of the page says just the word egg, capital E. That's it. That's the submission.
Bless you, Milk. You have encapsulated the vibes perfectly.
I love you, Milk. I love you so much. Thank you for this demonstration of why Egg could not win. I could not let this happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Spade again. I want to talk about the poll. You might be asking me, Spade, what are you voting for? And my answer is anything but that egg. There was a campaign for that lamp, and I voted for that lamp. But really, it's just not the egg. That's it. I don't want a joke vote. I'm sorry. I just don't know if right now's the time for a joke vote. With the current mood, we had the whole moment of Arthur talking to himself and his self-dialogue. Also doesn't help that this is the first time Arthur and Lilith are actually working together, and I don't know. I don't see joke. As of right now, because there's a timer, there is 11 hours left of the poll, and right now, oil lamp is at 38% and egg is at 36%. If it stays this way, I'm okay with it. On a non-poll related note, I remembered other parts of the chapter I wanted to talk about briefly. When Arthur talks to himself, he's so used to being part of a duo, or not being alone, that he still says we. While alone, he's so used to being half a duo. Maybe it now brings him a type of comfort it didn't used to. But yeah, that was a fun moment. No egg, please. Bye from Spade.
Thanks, Spade. Happy to report from the future that we did not go egg. And,
Yes.
you know, a lot of people were saying that toward the end. Anything but egg. I'll vote for anything as
Yep.
long as it's not egg. I've
Yeah.
never been able to relate to spite before, really. I'm not a spiteful person. But
Yeah.
this time, I
This
guess I
time,
finally figured
you
it
felt
out.
it.
It was people stepping on my real arguments with memes that did it
Yes.
for me. I guess that's what makes me
Yes.
feel spiteful.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I really appreciated that Spade submitted this voice message to sort of crystallize the frustration that some people were having where they were tired of the memes and were like, guys, really, we can't let Egg win.
Hi, this is Pi, she, her. That egg is way too suspicious. On a meta level, it is too instantly memeable to be trusted. In universe, where did the traitor get it? He has a known habit of swiping things left unattended, and I have no desire to be on the end of the egg's mother when she realizes it is gone. Arthur isn't very good at reading maps. I can't fault him for it, but the stone disc is inconspicuous enough that I think it has to be more than it seems, but it doesn't speak to me as much as the lamp or the liquid. They're both the potential 2-for-1. The lamp could still have oil left inside it, and the jar could be repurposed. The lamp is a very solid pick. It has an immediate functionality, and this is the Carry the Fire podcast. But I want to know what that liquid does! Violet-colored things are consistently strange, otherworldly, and powerful. Scratch is purple, most of the Dreamlands are purple, Weave Water is purple. It's a very good color for something to be. And do you know what mysterious liquids do in this show? They can put you to sleep, they make you pass out the old-fashioned way, they restore your mind, they aid in awakening an inanimate body. It is unknown, it is potentially dangerous, and I want to know what that liquid is going to do.
Pi, I wish you had been on this episode of Autopsy as a host,
I see how it
because
is.
you and I are drifting in the same wavelength, and that doesn't always happen. And you are a great adversary in the polls, but I like it much better when you're on my side. Yeah, like, why not liquid? I'm still, look, I think lamp is just, I get it, you light it, it puts out light, woohoo, okay, cool. And
It's dysfunctional. I will say, F in the chat, RIP for not ever knowing what the mysterious liquid is. I am sorry for your loss of lore.
Not sorry enough to have been in the coal mines flipping and doing
No,
campaigns for me while I was working hard.
No, not.
No one is sorry enough to have actually coordinated a flip for me because I couldn't do it. I was busy, which I hate saying, but yeah, I got really busy this week and I wasn't able to participate,
Yeah.
especially because the poll closed so early.
Well, these last two messages are from some of our lore masters who dug into some of the potential Call of Cthulhu items or you know, that these items might be related to, if not exactly them. And I found them really interesting. And now that we know that the winning option is lamp, maybe some of what Hydrus has to say will intrigue you.
Okay, and I hope that it will give some consolation to some of the objects that were not picked and we can kind of think about them and what they might be.
Hello, Autopsy. Pay no attention to the crackling campfire sound effect behind me. I couldn't find any oil lamp sound effects that weren't just straight up dog water, so let's just pretend for ambience. Okay? Good. I'm here today to put forth my reasons and maybe convince some people to vote for the oil lamp. Now, Hydrus, I hear you ask, why? Why do that when egg is on the table? Why forsake egg for lamp? Well, I don't have any good rebuttals for that, but just hear me out, please. I'm begging. With this return to Season 2, I have been gloriously granted the ability to once again look at the manuals for guidance. I love Heartland Originals, love them to death, but good God do I love a handbook. Within the confines of Season 2, we were introduced to a whole bunch of items that originated in the Call of Cthulhu manuals. The Guiding Lantern, the Selenine, the Crystallizer of Dreams, and the Glass of Lang are all of these, among a couple others, but those are the important ones. We also have been able to look at some of the information from the manuals before, such as what happened with the Horig votes and the Yidra Mother Darkness votes that Malum kind of told us a little about in Season 5. So I don't feel like it's a stretch to look at the modules for hints or clues. That being said, I am fairly confident, now, near convinced that this is an artifact called the Lamp of Alhazred. If that name sounds a little bit familiar to you, just kind of in the back of your brain, that's because Alhazred is the author of the Necronomicon, which is the Book of the Dead, featured in so much pop media that it would take me 5 years to list it. It's not important to you, but it's important to me. In the modules, when lit, this particular lamp gives off vapors that can induce visions in anyone close enough to smell them, usually of a revelatory nature. They can disclose secrets, show hidden paths, reveal locations. It's basically a secret revealing lamp. That's cool as fuck. And you know who we currently have with us that has a lot of secrets and seems very resistant to telling us stuff? Yeah, that's right. Lilith. Yeah. If she isn't willing to disclose her freaky little secrets, this might be a way to get around her and figure out some of the stuff she's not telling us. And even beyond that, I'm going to read off a quote from part 19, right after Arthur and John get out of the prison pits and meet the traitor for the second time. John says, "There's a glass jar of violet liquid. It looks thick." Arthur replies, "Unknown liquid. Pass." John then goes, "An oil lamp?" To which Arthur says, "Last one served us well. Let's call that a maybe." I don't know about you guys, but I would take a maybe over a hard pass any day.
Thank you for such a well-researched submission.
Are you not intrigued? Are you not intrigued?
No, not really.
Oh, come on.
Sorry. I'm too hung up on what could have been. But it was a good submission.
Yes, it was an excellent submission. Thank you so much, Hydrus, for bringing us all of the handbook lore, the potentials of inspiration that could have come from that.
Yes. And just because I'm a hard audience to sell doesn't mean it wasn't amazing. Thank you.
Hello, Autopsy. Or here, Daydam. Now that we are back in the Dreamlands, it feels particularly apt to fall back on Call of Cthulhu lore. After all, this is the place connected to objects like the Glass of Lang or the Crystallizer of Dreams. So, as soon as I heard Stone Disc, I went and lived through the old tomes, the Call of Cthulhu 7th edition manual, and there it was, a perfect illustration of a stone disc, the Starstone, a, usually star-shaped, stone that can offer protection from a variety of monsters and creatures, something that could be extremely helpful considering where we are. But you can forget about all of that, because I am not voting for the disc this week, but for the lamp. Why? It just has so much potential. I am sure others will talk about the symbolism of fire and light. So let me instead promote arson here. Don't you want to set shit on fire? Don't you want to have the grand, exciting moment we had with the Gug again, but with something bigger? Someone bigger? Let it begin. Please let it begin. And who knows? Maybe, or later, we give the fire something more. It still makes the sound that it used to make in the Dark World. It's possible that it has gained some new powers. And I would love to see them amplified by the lamp.
Are you Thank you for your submission. Are you suggesting that we're setting Kane on fire?
Yes. Let's do it. Let's manifest this. A vote for lamp is a vote for Kane arson.
I don't think that.
We're gonna set that man on fire.
Oh God, I think you're going a little too literal with like this
Hydrus
whole
in the chat
thing.
says Barbara Kane.
Okay, it's time to go. Holy shit, you guys are gonna go too far in the other direction with this.
Hey, if we need to beat a meme with memes, we will do that, you know?
Yeah, go low and we'll go lower.
Yeah,
Got it.
Yep, that's how we do. That's how we do.
Oh man, I love the polls. I love voting. I love being here with you guys. I am so excited to see what happens next.
Me too.
Vol,
Yes.
are you leaving again? You're not gonna abandon me for another 2 weeks to do autopsy with other people, are you?
Not for another 2 weeks, no.
Good. Actually, I think the next time we record, hold on, let me check dates here. Okay, not the next time. Not the next time.
Like I said,
We'll
not for
save
the next 2
announcement
weeks.
For the third. Yes, not for the next 2 weeks at least. Guys, if you are listening in the public, we are now using Spotify polls. So if you listen on Spotify, there's a fun little poll you should go vote in. I don't know what it is yet because I haven't made it yet because we haven't put this out yet. But it'll be fun when you
more votes, more polls.
More votes.
I mean, we are
polls.
the podcast about polls, so it was only natural that we would start having our own polls.
Yes, and public listeners, you could comment on Spotify podcast episodes. Please do that. If you haven't already, please review the podcast on everywhere you listen because that helps other fans find us. We don't have social media, as you know. I have claimed the account names so that I don't get any imposters. I don't think that's ever going to actually happen.
So,
but
yeah, so those are legit, but they are intentionally dark as well.
Yes. They are empty because I'm a baby. And I just want you guys to know that, like, this show doesn't grow unless other people grow it for me. I can't really do anything about it. You have to share it with people or else it just doesn't happen. Thank you for showing up, though, when you do. And thank you for hanging out with us in the chat if you are able to make it. Appreciate you guys. I have loved doing the show and I'm excited to continue doing it.
Yep.
Forever.
We are locked in.
That's not going to age
Forever.
poorly. I promise.
I'm so happy to be back. Thank you all for joining us in the chat and for staying a little bit late. Appreciate you all.
Yes.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you, of course, to Harlan Guthrie, the sole creator of Malevolent. Without his labor of love for a story he wants to tell, we wouldn't be here. To join the live recording, submit your own message, get in touch with me, and more, visit linktree/Malevolent Autopsy. The official Invictus Discord server is open to the public and includes a channel just for Malevolent Autopsy fans. We also have our own private, patrons-only channel. Finally, thank you to Mizra, Nikki, Vol Control, and everyone who has helped create and maintain Malevolent Autopsy. These friends are also volunteers who donate time and energy to help put together this love letter to Malevolent. Until next time, the horrors persist.
But so do we.